Hey there to all my friends at Seritium. Welcome to my home in Wellington, New Zealand. It's summer here right now, but I think even so, it's still a little colder than it would be in Jerez. Unfortunately, it doesn't get quite as hot here. Today I'm going to tell you a little about my experiences. So I would go there very often. Sometimes I went there after school on Thursdays after teaching class at Seritium. Other days I would go on Fridays, and I would buy all of my fruit, vegetables, eggs and things like that. I'm a vegetarian, so this stuff is pretty important for my diet to keep me fed every day. So I would go there, I began to know some of the people, and as I got to know them, they would give me cheaper things, they would recognize me, they would chat to me, and I felt like there was a real sense of community. People knew each other and people liked to talk. People asked each other how their day was, how things were going, how their family was. And this is something that I really loved, the really personal aspect. It was really vibrant, really colourful inside the beautiful building that is. Anyway, happy 2015. All the best to all of you.
Hi everyone, my name is Johnny. I'm talking to you from Munich, Germany. And I'm currently living here because of my studies. And more specifically, I'm speaking to you from my bedroom. So yeah, last week I was having a walk with my sister in the city center here in Munich. And we walked past one of the most famous restaurants in the city. And this is the Augustinus Brewery in Marienplatz. And it's a very old place. Its origin dates back to the late 1800s when it was founded by the Augustiner monks. And it's a very traditional place. So it's a place where you can try the most typical Bavarian cuisine and where you will be able to taste the world famous beer of Munich. And it's also a place in which the staff, the service is dressed with the Bavarian traditional costumes. So if you ever come to Munich and if you want to get immersed into the Bavarian culture for a while, this is the place you have to visit. So you cannot miss it. And speaking of culinary stuff and speaking of traditions and speaking of cultures, reminded me somehow of the most popular restaurants for visitors in our city. Or at least I think the most famous one because every time I go there, every time I go by, I see a lot of tourists. And this restaurant is hosted by a building carrying the same name. So the building and the restaurant have the same name. And so this restaurant is kind of a special to me. And not because I eat there so often, because honestly, I have never eaten in this restaurant, but because for me, and I think like for many people in the city, this restaurant is like a meeting point. So every time I go to Jerez and every time I want to meet my friends in the city center and we want to decide a place where everyone is gonna go and everyone is gonna get together, we always say this place. So I guess that most of you can have an idea what restaurant I'm talking about. And yeah, that was pretty much everything from my side. And I hope you like it. And I want to thank you for watching. So bye.
Hello, I'm going to tell you about a very special building which is in the center of Jerez. This building used to be a mosque. It used to be a mosque. When the King Alfonso X conquered Jerez for the Christians in the year 1264, he decided that he wanted to build a church on the same spot where the mosque was. It took about 200 years to build the church, and it was built in a Gothic mudéjar style. If you look at the facade, of the church, which is the front of the church, you will see that the style is quite simple. It has got a gabled roof, which is a roof in this shape, and it has got a gabled porch with multiple arches. Also, on this facade, you can see different types of windows. There is a rose window, which is round in shape, and there are some false windows in the mudéjar style. On one of the sides of the church there is a very interesting building which seems to be the bell tower of the church, but which is actually a completely independent building. This was a watchtower which was used for military or defensive purposes. Now, do you know what building I'm talking about? I am sure you do. I am talking about the Church of Saint Denis. Saint Denis is the patron saint of Jerez. And now I have a question for you. Which Saint Denis are we talking about? Because it seems that there is a lot of confusion about the two Saint Denises. Both of them were bishops. One of them was the Bishop of Paris. He was very famous because he was decapitated and he was able to run around for about 6 kilometers holding his head under his arm. The other one was the Bishop of Athens, and he was a sort of judge. So, which one of the two Saint Denis is the church dedicated to? That question goes to you. Can you answer?
Do blue roosters exist? Have you ever seen a blue rooster? I have. In the very middle of Jerez, one of the most famous buildings is called the Blue Rooster. It was commissioned by the Domecq family, a famous family here in Jerez, in 1927 and opened 1 year later, built by the architect Aníbal González. He was famous himself for having built the Plaza España in Seville. The occasion of building the Blue Rooster was the Iberian-American Exposition in the year 1929. So it opened 1 year before and immediately became famous. First of all, it's in the very center of Jerez at an intersection of several streets where until this day people like to meet, and it sits next to the market as well, so it's a place where a crossroads where many people are passing anyway. But also the architecture is very interesting because it sits on the corner between two of those streets, and the building was built with a rounded facade, so you walk into a curved building when you walk into Blue Rooster. Of course, you'd like to know, where does the name the Blue Rooster come from? Well, inside that building, and can be seen to this day, is a painting of a blue rooster by a local painter by the name of José Luis Torres. But if you want to meet somebody in Jerez, or you want to have a nice drink of Domecq sherries, then the place to do it just once and take your picture as well could be the Blue Rooster.
It's a very important church in Jerez. Many young couples have their wedding photographs taken there. I had mine. I'm talking about
Okay, so it's a wonderful building. I sometimes go there on a Sunday morning because there's a wonderful market, really nice market there, and you can buy all these second-hand things. Also, there is a band that plays brilliant brass music, again on a Sunday morning. I was very fortunate to take a group of students on an excursion to this marvellous historical monument in the centre of Jerez. And one or two things that are very easily remembered. There's a great part of the building where in the ceiling there are stars cut out so that the light will penetrate and give the impression of light coming through in an evening kind of atmosphere. And you could imagine sat there with the steam and the water, and you would feel very atmospheric. And this was, I think, one of the places that the people who lived there would welcome guests. I think for me the other memorable thing about this building is the one area where we were given a speech by the guide, and they spoke about the protection for the entrance for people coming in, very important in this building. And for me it was very funny because they talk about the area where people, if they came in here, would be very easy to attack them because they made the entrance very difficult to come in, with many windows looking down onto the space, and it was possible to pour hot oil or to attack with a bow and arrow. And as you came in, it was almost impossible to break into the defence of this building. But next to this area, they also had a big gate, which on some days they would leave open, so that every day it was possible to enter on your horse, to go outside and to buy things or to go to the country. And they would leave this door open. Of course, in the end, the reason that this building was penetrated and this great protective defensive structure was lost to the opposition was because they left the door open and everybody came in, and it didn't matter. They had fantastic crenellated towers and strong walls and a very, very easily defended site on top of a hill, because in the end they left the door open and in came everybody and they took the building. Anyway, I would recommend visiting this building if you ever get the chance. It's fantastic, and I hope you go.
I've chosen one which is in the center of the city. It is in Plaza de la Asunción. Don't you think it is a church? It isn't. It is a civil building. It was designed by Andrés de Rivera, and it belongs to the Renaissance period, and I think it is called flamboyant Gothic, or plateresco in Spanish. Plateresco is the Spanish version of Gothic. And you know, the building is gorgeous, but this is not the main reason why I love this place. I like this place because it used to be the local library. And when I was a teenager, my friends and I used to go there after school to do homework or to study for tests or whatever. And when we were fed up with studying, which happens very often, as you know, we used to go outside and sit just under the statue of Virgin Mary, which is in the middle of Plaza de la Asunción. There we sat for hours and talked about love, you know, about our day at school, maybe about politics. Politics was a really trendy topic at the time. And I have still the picture in my mind, of the sun reflecting on the stone walls of which is the building I was describing.
When I was in Spain, I went to Jerez and I went to a bodega, and it was wonderful. It was like a little village in the centre of a city, and it was empty. There was nobody there apart from a few tourists, and there is a train that goes round, takes the tourists all round the bodega, and there are some very big barrels of wine, and they are called the Apostoles, and they are full of very old wine. And the village is full of vines that grow over the street, and the temperature is very cool, and it's very good for the wine. In the bodega there is a little mouse that lives there, and the people who work in the bodega give the mouse some wine every day.
Hello everyone, my name is Paula. I'm from Jerez, but I'm currently living in Seville. Because of my degree, I'm studying translation and interpreting from English and Arabic into Spanish. And during the first semester of this year, I have been living in Manchester, thanks to an Erasmus exchange. The experience has been really amazing, great. I've met many people. I've learned a lot about the university life in the UK, about languages, about everything. So I really encourage you to take it always as you can. And I remember one day I was in a bar with a friend of mine, drinking something, and we were deciding where to go that weekend. And we thought we should do something different. And we decided to go to the theatre to watch The Lion King. And the play was great. The actors were really good actors and actresses. The music and the dancing were like, I was stunning when I finished when the play was over. But I started to look at the theatre, the building indeed, and it was quite ugly. The decoration was poor. The building wasn't beautiful. It looked old and ugly. So I started thinking, how can this be happening? This Manchester is one of the most important cities in the UK. So it should be a great theatre because it's the most important one in Manchester, and Manchester is one of the most important cities in the UK. So it doesn't make any sense. So I started to remember the most important theatre in my hometown, Jerez. And I remember the huge lamp, really beautiful lamp with small glasses, and the huge stage with that beautiful red curtain, sometimes blue. And I also remember that the walls are decorated with beautiful furniture, and I thought that we were really lucky. And I also think that most of you should know which building I'm talking about. So good luck and see you later.
Hi, I would like to talk to you about Arenal Square. It's the center of life in Jerez and has been this way for many, many years, dating all the way back to the time of the Muslims in Jerez. And during this time, the square was located just outside of the city gates. And For that reason, it was a very convenient location to have a musara, which was the location where the troops met and had a parade before going to battle. And then after the Reconquest, it became once again the center of life in Jerez, and it was a place not for battles, or well, not for soldiers, but for mock battles and for duels, sporting events, things like this, for many years. And during this time, it was filled with sand from the Guadalete River, and for that reason, it got its name, Arenal Square. Nowadays, it's no longer filled with sand, it's filled with pavement and with flowers, and in the middle, there is a large controversial statue of a former Spanish dictator who was, I believe, from Jerez. Okay, so in the corner, there is a very old building, very famous building in Jerez that is now used as a school, but it hasn't always been a school. It served various purposes throughout time. Do any of you know the name of this school? It's named after a famous Spanish author. I often have a coffee or a beer there on nice sunny days, so maybe one of these days I'll see some of you there. All right, bye.
Alex, I'm nurse. I'm working in Cambridge, in England. I was a student of Lola Sarasá when I was in Seritium. I remember when I was a teenager, I went to Semana Santa to see with my friend to see a famous procession ascending the stair of. It was amazing. While someone turned on a lot of fireworks. It's amazing. Currently, this performance is still working in Jerez. You have to go to see it. It's amazing. Another thing in Jerez is the surrounding places. It's amazing because there are a lot of bars and restaurants to go to eat the famous typical Jerezana food. I love it. I'm from Jerez. I hope that you enjoy. Thank you very much. Bye.
Hello everyone. I first visited this church for my cousin's wedding. It was a nice spring day and the entire family was very, very excited. This church is located in one of the oldest areas in Jerez, near the Plaza of Arenal. During Holy Week, it has one of the most recognized pasos in Jerez, known as El Silencio. This church's name is. I love Jerez and I can't wait to visit it again. Thank you all.
Hi everybody, I am very happy to tell you what is the most beautiful place in Jerez for me. I was living there for 2 years and I enjoyed it a lot. I remember the first day I went to Jerez, I saw the characteristic roundabout. Do you know what is a roundabout? Well, it is a type of circular intersection in which road traffic flows almost continuously in one direction around the central island. There is one of these with colored horses in the entry of the city. My favorite roundabout is one that is near the beautiful train station. It is a sculpture of a very big headless man called Minotaur. The first time I saw it, the Minotaur was wearing a huge shirt of the local football team, because this year Jerez City played in the first division. It was very funny and I thought it was a fantastic city. Bye!
my name is Carolina Segura. I am from Colombia and I live in Bogota with my family. I would like to talk to you about my very first visit to Jerez. So this trip was carried out in 2009, in June 2009. So I had the chance to see Spain in the hottest summer I've ever felt. So and at this point, after this walk in this beach, we went for a walk in Jerez, and I saw for the first time El Arenal Square. And the first time I saw this, I felt, oh my God, this is a beautiful square. It's evident that authorities take care of it because it was full of palms and the monuments and the street lamps, and everything was so organized and designed, and it looked so beautiful that I was really astonished and wowed by the beauty of the architecture of the place. Because in Colombia, it's not very common to find so much architecture in a little town. Or in a little town, even in big cities. Public places are not so well cared by authorities, and people are not so aware that they have to take care of it like I felt people did in Jerez. It's worth mentioning that this trip has been about food too. I tried for the first time in my life, I tried shrimp tortilla and a kind of ham made of tuna. I didn't know you could make ham out of tuna. And I also tried salmorejo for the first time in my life, which is a kind of gazpacho but stronger. Trips are also about the food you taste and the people you know. So thank you very much for your time, and this is it. Bye!